I just don't think at a young age you should be exposed to that much technology in general.
Why should a kid have social media?
There's so many people I see that are maybe 20 years old that think they know better that someone, than someone that's been working in the industry for 40 years, and that you can't change their mind.
I don't want to be the parent that always hits my kid with, because I said so.
Okay, Michael. So in this episode, we're going to talk about, raising kids with social media. And none of us have kids,
No.
but we kind of already looked at all of this stuff. And I mean, we have our own personal experiences. We like how we grew up as well. So,
Yeah, we fell into that age or that generation where it was pre-tech, like hardcore everyday use. Internet was in the house, but if somebody made a call, you got to get off and dial up and go from floppy disks to CDs to USB. Now everything is virtual, cloud-based, like crazy.
I mean, it's crazy how much easier it probably is raising kids now or just living today versus 10, 20, or 30 years ago, because there's just so much help. I mean, I remember even like my mom was telling me that back in the day when I was being raised in Poland, like there was even no like diapers, or you had to like get them from somewhere else, and it was super, super expensive.
Well, because where you were born and grew up, it was a tiny town of 1,000 people. So,
but even in the city, like it was just so expensive to get them.
Well,
back
yeah,
then.
that
So
too.
It's like you had to like use one like rags and stuff, right? And then
well,
wash
they have
them.
that now still. Like Jess knows that there's like cloth diapers basically that you
But the
reuse.
comfort thing is just use the diapers instead, right? Because
And
I mean,
throw it
I would
out.
rather use those for sure because it's easier. Just throw them out. But anyway, so like we have a little bit of an experience growing up with no social media. I mean, a lot of experience.
Well, it started, yeah, I guess our first social media was what, AOL chat rooms, AIM Instant Messenger. You had your screen name, and it started with that. And then we went into MySpace. Everybody had a MySpace profile.
But that was still like nothing compared to like what the algorithm is now, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that's the problem.
Yeah.
That's the whole problem why I think you just don't want kids being experienced or exposed to social media today, because the whole algorithm gets to a point where it's just going to, it takes 5 seconds of watching something that they aren't supposed to, and then all of a sudden their whole feed is that, right?
Well, you could put on the parental blocks on YouTube and stuff like that, but to make an actual Facebook or Snapchat or Instagram, you got to be of age, right? But I mean, we even growing up, I remember same concept with MySpace, but we lied, right?
How old you are?
Yeah,
right.
You make an email address, you fake how old you are there. Then once you have the email address, you go sign up for your MySpace account. You lie on that, or Facebook. Right now, you lie out how old you are there, and it passes.
Oh yeah, I mean it's super easy. So, but I mean, so how old do you have to be to use Instagram? 16?
It's either 16 or 18. Let's see.
But how many kids that are way younger do you know that have it?
Oh, a lot.
A lot, right?
You got to be 13.
13. Okay, so 13. It's 13. So that's pretty young.
That is young.
I mean, that's very young. So like imagine you're talking about the controls, the parental controls that you could set on, but like how do you do that if it's like an individual, right? That's not just a good ethical person, right? Like how do you do that? Sure, once you are exposed to them and you know who they are, then you can go and see, okay, my kid's watching this, I'm gonna block this person from ever showing up. But that's after you learn.
Well, I guess it's more than that. If it's YouTube strictly, then when we upload stuff, it says, is this for kids? Yes or no? If you put yes, I'm pretty sure somebody in YouTube, whether it's AI or a person, checks those videos and then makes sure that it is for kids, and then passes it, and if not, they take it down, right? That's what the parental control is going to do, is going to put up that block, and it'll show like Bluey or Miss Rachel or any of those kids shows that are on now.
Right.
And if you got somebody like the Andrew Tates and those that spew crazy crap, if they're trying to get to kids, that's the biggest problem.
Well, I mean, from what I've read, that guy's banned on everywhere except Twitter. Like Instagram, YouTube, everybody took down their stuff, but you still see it by third parties.
Right.
You know, like they're still making. So like even YouTube realizes that, you know, this guy should not be on here, right? Because he shouldn't. Like the stuff that this guy says is just crazy, you know?
And has done.
Right. So if it's true, because I don't know if he's been convicted or
Right.
not or whatever it is, but like, yeah, that's something that you don't want anybody that's super young watching it, because if you're young, right, your mind's not developed yet. If you're getting, you know, if you find this guy as a role model early on because you like that he's driving all these Ferraris and doing all that stuff, right? Young kids are going to think that's cool. So like all of a sudden a guy's 13, 14, 15 starts listening to this advice. Well, what the hell's going to happen? By the time he's 30, he could completely ruin his life. She, right?
I'd say 20 if they're starting 13, 14.
Yeah,
give it 5-6 years, and it could be, once you hit 18 and you got the true freedom, real world consequences hit hard. And if you do something stupid and illegal, even underage, you could get tried as an adult even if you're not 18, you know?
Right.
And I saw there's a social media channel for kids specifically called Zigazoo, where when you sign up, it's got to be the parent and the kid submit a video, and they both have to talk and stuff like that. And then the whole thing at Zigazoo is that they have people who monitor it, right? It's all live, real people who are in the back working, and they make sure. And on this platform, there is no commenting, so you can't comment. But still, just the mere fact that that there's a social media company just for kids, specifically for kids, that's crap, because you're getting them started in that, and then they're going to grow up and go into now, yeah, everybody's got a Facebook and Instagram account, but it's like you're starting them too young at that.
I'm going to cut you off right there. But see, every good business starts with the problem, right? That needs to be solved. So they identified a problem.
I don't
already.
even see that as a problem. That's bullshit. I don't think that's a problem.
Which part to start that social media?
Why should a kid have social media?
Oh, no, but I'm talking about like that they've started a different type of social media because they see that the current social medias that are out there are the problem, right? Because
so you're saying the aspect of not having the ability to comment?
I mean, yeah, because comments, I think itself are huge. You know,
Yeah.
that's kind of like, I mean, when you look at anybody, they always go in the comments, especially if it's a very like interesting, controversial video. And I would say not even that, but just all videos. I think if you're watching, you're going to be reading in the comments. And the comments, I think, are kind of what really shifts your mind, right? One way or the other. Because right? So it's like, because you could watch something and then you're going to have an opinion on it. But the moment, and let's say it's horrible, right? You're like, this is garbage.
Cyberbullying.
Right. But then in the comments, someone sends fake comments and then says, okay, this is so good. Like, I would love to be this guy. Now your opinion's going to start to change. So I think comments are huge. So taking that away and just having the video in itself, I think is already much different, you know? Better, a step better.
Sure. My problem is just having a platform that's supposed to be social media for kids only. Honestly, at that point, it's YouTube. I haven't personally gone on the platform myself to see more about it, but if it's only videos, that's YouTube. That's YouTube with parental controls on, right?
Right.
So like, what the hell do you need to have the Zigazoo for? For me, it's crap.
Yeah, I mean, they're just trying something, I guess.
Because I wouldn't consider YouTube a social media platform. It's a video search engine.
Yeah,
right?
like more educational.
Obviously, Google owns it, but Google is words in front of you. YouTube is the videos.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know if that new service is going to solve anything because it just, maybe it'll get better. I think it's just going to get worse because, like, before social media, you would just turn on a TV show for a kid, right? Which you have complete control over, and there's not really much that they could do, right? They're going to switch a channel, but I mean, if they switch a channel, you're probably going to see it or something like that because you're passing by.
Right?
You'll hear it, right? Social media, that's a whole different ball game. Like, you're scrolling, and within 1 minute before you pass by, they've already could have seen 5 different things that they're not supposed to, you know? So I would think that is the biggest problem. Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, it's that, and also let's take that aspect out and consumerism. What about all the big companies now that are going to be pushing toys even more so on those specific platforms? Like, we want kids to just be kids and live their lives, right? And now if you got a specific social media, this is me just talking about specifically with Zigazoo now, and I don't know how their ad platform works because I haven't been on there. Maybe it is like that already, maybe it's not. But now what happens if you got these big companies hitting these kids with ads nonstop? Well, it's right now it could be this hot toy. Like, we had super soakers growing up, right, as kids, squirt guns. Well, now that summer's coming up, it's going to be that. Well, in 2 months, it could be something else. And now we're getting into that more repetitive crap of like waste and stuff like that. And it just becomes too much on kids to get them to be the next buyers in society. Whereas,
because now it's too easy to sell.
Yeah.
And everybody's selling.
And
everybody's pushing.
The next thing is, if you're collecting data on a kid, basically, from, let's say, they got the Zigazoo account 8 years old, and then 5 years later, now they're in Facebook. Well, you got 5 years of data on that kid already. And if we're now just trying to get younger and younger and younger to collect data, where does it stop?
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely argue that that could be a good thing because your life is so much easier the more they collect data on us, right? Because you get delivered things to you, especially when you go on the platform. It's like, okay, I'll buy this because it's like something that you want has just hit your feed, right? Because it's got so much data, they know what you want to buy. So like, I kind of think that it's
But as a
good
kid,
and bad.
do you really know what you want to buy?
I
Or are
mean,
you more impressed by whatever the commercial is, and stuff
sure.
like that? And you see a bunch of kids super happy and play. It was the same like when we were watching TV growing up, and traditional, you know, like whether it was regular channels or cable or dish or whatever, and Toys R Us came on with the ad with the giraffe, right? We wanted the next big toy that was at Toys R Us. Same thing. But now, instead of having that commercial hit you only a couple times, like once or twice within the 30-minute span of whatever show you're watching, right? When we were younger, now you're a kid scrolling social media and it's constantly hitting you.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit maybe too much, and I don't think it's a good idea, obviously, for a kid. Yeah,
I mean, I think
they
it's
don't know
already
what they want. They want
too much
everything
for
that's
us.
cool, right?
Right.
And I mean, you could argue that older people, like in general, adults, also sometimes don't know what they want and they impulse buy, right? And then they regret things. But I think at that level, it's much different than it is when you're a kid. That's completely like, I just want what I see, right? And it's
Right.
impulse buy left and right. So I don't think that's a good thing. But I mean, I think even beside all of that, I just don't think at a young age you should be exposed to that much technology in general, you know?
No, I agree.
Because you and I grew up without a lot of technology where we would actually go out and spend time with friends, play outside.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I had my video game systems and stuff like that, but
Me
this
too.
was before there was online, right? Game Boy, Nintendo 64, Super Nintendo, stuff like that. But that was only after, you know. But then this goes into parenting, right? Because I'm
Right.
going to say, like, then it was, I could only play during the week if homework was done already, you know, and it was, everything else was taken care of. But my parents would never care if I was outside playing in the backyard, basketball or whatever. Outside didn't matter. You could play outside for as long as you want. But when it came to video games, they were already kind of like, let's set a limit then.
Yeah, I mean, and I agree with that style of parenting for sure. I
Same.
mean, there's definitely going to be all sorts of parents that'll be like, no, what's the problem? You know, I know that there are people that think that video games and technology, like that stuff is just going to make the child smarter, you know, because it might, but you're never going to have the street smarts, right? If you're just soaked up into this technology world where everything is just algorithm, you're kind of like building yourself in a way that you're just a smart robot, right? And some people think that style, that's who they want their kid to be because they think they're going to achieve more in life and things like that. So that's definitely not me, right?
If it was a kid that goes to school and comes home and then it's video games only from then, yeah, that's for sure an issue, right? But I know people who had that style of, I guess, lifestyle, right? Growing up, who was video games was just everything. And they have street smarts too. It's just, I guess, like it's less, right? Because
A lot less.
the interaction is through the screen. And it seems like now it's happening a lot more where people are so soaked into their screens that when it comes to having a conversation at a restaurant or a bar,
Everybody's on the phone.
Everybody's
you
on
got
their
10
phone.
people sitting at a table and everybody's on their phone, right? But see, like I know someone personally that just on the phone nonstop, right? And I see a lot less street smarts there, a lot less. Okay, so like I see how that's very bad. But on the other hand, this person thinks they're so smart. Okay, and they come off as they're smart too. But when you start to really question things, they don't know anything that they're talking about. And I feel like that's a lot of people on TikTok and all those social medias nowadays. They'll try to like teach you something and they think they're so smart because I don't even know what it is. They're just trying to act cool because of so many people are watching or whatever it may be, but they don't know what they're talking about. There's so many people I see that are maybe 20 years old that think they know better that someone, you know, than someone that's been working in the industry for 40 years.
oh yeah,
And that you can't change their mind.
that's funny. That blows my mind.
And it's like they're so lost because they're so soaked up in the social media stuff and they're just, their ego is so huge. I don't know, like I just don't know what it is. That's why I think those things are just so bad for you. Like I definitely, if anything, like as little technology for the first, you know, at least 12 years of the kid's life, I think that will be like the best approach. And then social media, like slowly start to ease them into it. But definitely always you want to monitor, I think, even if they're like 18, 19 years old, like who and what they're watching.
Social media heavily monitored for sure. Electronics with limits.
With limits, for sure.
Like if it comes to video games with my kids, I'll play with them, right? And show them that it's more like a bonding thing. And yeah, I'll let them play online with their friends, but I'll also, when they play online, I'm going to be there and monitor what's what's being said by others,
Right.
because that's the thing.
Make sure they're playing with good friends and stuff like that. Because, I mean, back in the day, I also had friends that weren't good friends, you know? It's not on social media, but
It's
it was
just the
in
bad
person.
influences,
It's
yeah.
just bad influences, right? And my parents would always tell me, like, this is not a good friend to be around. Like, they try to keep me away from that person. At that time, I'd be like, you know, because you're a kid, you don't know anybody, you just want to hang out. That's it, right?
Yeah.
But then when you grew up, you kind of like, now I see, like, that was not a good person to be around with, right?
And that goes back to what you were saying about having somebody who's 20 in the industry versus 40 in the industry. It's all about that experience.
Exactly.
Our parents had experience throughout life running into good people, good-hearted people, and being friends with those people.
Exactly.
And putting away the people that out of their lives that were crappy individuals.
Right.
So,
and then
now that we're older, we see.
You start to see, but
Right.
now you also start to see that this is the same thing, but 100x'd on social media, if not million x, right? You take your little circle that you had in person, now you have millions of people that you could be around all on your phone, right? So now you weren't supposed to be around this other kid when you were growing up, but you're not supposed, now on social media, you shouldn't be around the tens of thousands that could hit your profile within seconds, right? So now you start to literally see what those guys, you know, are trying to teach you or doing, making fun of other kids, you know. Like, what was that video that went out years ago of one of the Paul brothers laughing at someone that was dead or something?
Yeah.
And what other people think that that's cool? Like, if you're a kid, what are you going to think of that? You know?
Right.
So, like, that's the stuff that is bad about it. So, I mean, your style of parenting, we already know. What are you going to try to do?
I mean, like I said, just be as present as possible and just keep limits on things, but also explain to my kids why. I don't want to be the parent that always hits my kid with because I said so, because that doesn't help.
Right. That doesn't help nobody.
So for me and Jess have talked about this. We want to kind of raise our kids Montessori style, let them explore things on their own, but with guidance and explanation.
And then let them choose for themselves, right?
Yeah.
In a way. Yeah, no, that I think is the best way to do it. Obviously, you don't want to like force things on them either, right? Especially if they haven't like explored anything, because if they don't like something, then it's like, what the hell, right? So I think that's a good way of doing it. And then, like you said, of course, you're going to allow them to have technology, even if they're 7 and 8. Sure, they'll be playing video games. I mean, I played video games too, whatever was available at the time. I think it was like a super old Nintendo when I was at that age that, yeah, of course, I played some of it. So I don't think that's bad either. You just have to watch how much of it they do. If that's all they're doing, they don't want to hang out with people in person, I think that's a horrible sign already, because they're not going to know how to talk to people.
I mean, most of my fondest memories were hopping on my bike with the neighborhood kids, going to the park, basketball, tackle football, just playing until the street light came on, and that's when I knew I had to go home.
Me too. I mean, I've had a stretch where I played a lot of video games, and I've had a stretch where I hung out with people outside all day, every day, and like both had good memories. But if I had to choose, going out and like playing with people and spending time with people outweighed playing the video games. You know, it was fun, but that's all it was. You just played video games. There was not much more to take away from that. Like, what do you get? You just get like, okay, I accomplished something in a video game, and that's all you remember, right?
Right.
That's pretty much it. But from here, like, you went out, you played, you remember like more.
Well, there's also health benefits, obviously, to being outside, getting vitamin D from the sun and just oxygen from the trees and stuff. Like, there's clear health benefits to being outside. We're not meant to be inside behind a screen all day long.
Right. So then now we know that part, technology part. What about social media? When do you think that would be okay for a kid to start using
High
it?
school. Freshman in high school.
Freshman in high school. Before that, none of it.
You don't need it.
You don't need it. I mean, I agree. I don't think you need it. And then from high school, you would still monitor it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Till when?
Those 4 years of high school. Because
Those
once
4
they're an
years?
adult, then they're an adult. I mean, will I check in and look at their profile from time to time
As
to
a
see?
good parent, I think you're always going to check in, right?
I'm going to be checking in, but I'm not going to be like, I need the password and I need to
Right.
see.
You would like subtly, I guess, give them some advice at that point. Why are you like listening to this person?
By that
you know?
point, by 16, 17, I hope that I've done a good enough job as a parent where
That
they
they
make
figure
the
it
right
out.
decisions.
Yeah, they don't listen to the garbage that I guess you see out there because there's so much of it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be my exact approach as well because I think that's the smartest way with what's going on in the world today with the social media and everything.